laugh. It's not funny. Did you start it already? Okay. We can't edit that. Okay, we're going to have to start over.
No, just go ahead and do it.
Okay. Well, this is my first time on YouTube. I've never made a video before, so, it's been something that I felt really strongly that I needed to do. And a friend of mine told me the other day, hey, Deanna, why don't you do a vlog? And I'm like, oh my God, I was just thinking that. And so here I am. I want to give you some history about myself because I am in recovery from drugs and alcohol. My sobriety date is March 23rd, 2015. So I just celebrated, not 2015, 2016. I just celebrated 2 years. I want to talk to you guys about just the struggles that we go through in recovery, just walking through daily life and how we process that. I got sober through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I use those steps every day throughout the day. I use them to help me stay grounded. For example, like right now, I'm feeling kind of depressed. I don't know why I'm feeling depressed, but I'm feeling depressed. And you know what? 2 years ago, that was something that I would have gotten high behind. And today I realize that I can walk through that kind of stuff. I can walk through it. Oh my God, it gives me chills. Oh, wow. I can walk through it today, and I don't have to pick up a drink. I don't have to pick up a drug. I just got done doing a fear inventory with my sponsor, and I looked at, and that could be why I feel kind of sad. I looked at all of my fears. Some were irrational. Some are fears that I can take action on, do something about. But I know today that I have tools, which is the 12 steps that I can use, and I don't have to get high. I don't have to get high. And I'm somebody who took this thing almost to the end of the line, like almost to where I would have been dead. The next step was death, physical death for me. I come from a long line of addicts and alcoholics. My sister, a little over 2 years ago, overdosed on opiates, and she's not here today. So I kind of have the torch, and I'm carrying it for her and for all those who have lost their lives to drugs and alcohol. And I just want us, you guys, me, I want us to walk this journey, like the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous says, shoulder to shoulder. I want us to do this together because I know that when I get in my head alone for too long, that's a setup for a fuck up every single time. But I know that when I talk about it and I voice what's going on with me, it takes the power away from it. And then I get to hear, just how crazy it sounds. Well, I don't know about crazy, but yeah, crazy. After I say it, it's like, well, that's nothing. Anyway, so right now I work in the industry. I work with people who have drug and alcohol problems, and that's how my higher power. That's where my higher power has led me, to work with people who have a drug and alcohol problem. And so that's what I do today. And every morning I start off opening up the big book, or if I'm not opening up the big book, getting on YouTube, and I'm listening to pages 86 to 88, Upon Awakening. Because I know that every day I die when I go to sleep, metaphorically speaking, right? And when I awaken, I'm reborn. Upon awakening. And I have a choice. Every day that I wake up, you guys, I have a choice. Okay, so is this going to be the day that I'm going to choose to listen to spirit? Or is this going to be the day that I'm going to choose to listen to my ego? And ego stands for easing God out. Easing God out, easing good out. It doesn't matter what acronym. They both mean the same thing, right? So when I walk hand in hand with spirit, I'm in that, I'm in direct alignment with my higher power when I'm in spirit. And when I allow myself to be pulled off that beam, right? Whether it's, oh my God, thinking about something horrible in the past and I get all freaking depressed and sad about, or I'm future tripping, even if it's 5 minutes from now. Well, what am I going to eat for lunch? Would be something seemingly small to, I don't know, what am I going to do? Who am I going to help today? Who am I going to help later today? But when I remind myself to stay in the now, you know, like Eckhart Tolle talks about in his book, The Power of Now, when I remind myself to stay in the now, then I'm in vertical alignment with the divine will. And now spelled backwards is one, right? So I've won every moment that I stay right here. And at times, guys, I'll literally be looking, and my head will start tripping, right, into the future or reflecting about the past. And I'll be like, Deanna, where's your feet at? Oh, all right, my feet are right here in front of me. Okay, well, that's where you need to be, right here where your feet are at. And it's just, it's you know, my ego wants everything to be complicated. It makes things complicated. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast of the ego mind, the ego thought system, like A Course in Miracles says, right? My ego wants everything complicated. And when I remind myself of those little simple tools, pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at my feet, like the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous says, when I remind myself of that, it's like spirit is back in the driver's seat. My higher power is back in the driver's seat because it is simple. It is simple. It is simple. My ego just wants to make it complicated. And it doesn't have to be complicated. I went to a meeting this morning and I was able to, after the meeting, I was able to help somebody who's really struggling right now. And he was telling me how a particular situation he felt could possibly be affecting his sobriety, or could affect his sobriety. And I tell you, during our conversation, he told me, he said, Deanna, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten cold chills just standing here talking to you. And I just kind of looked at him with awe, like, wow. I mean, that just makes me feel, well, there's really not even a word. I mean, no dope, no alcohol could make me feel the way I felt in that moment. And knowing that, you know, something magical, like I know there's a poster I've seen at Ingram Solutions, right? There's a poster I've seen. And it says, it's got Dr. Bob and Bill W. sitting together, and it says something like, and something magical passed between us. And that's what I feel like, or that's what I felt like when I was talking with this guy this morning after the meeting. You know, I felt like something magical passed between us. And that's how, you know, in my disease, you guys, I isolated. I mean, that's what my ego wanted. My ego wanted me to be separate, or for me to believe that I was separate. That my pain was my pain was so intense that nobody else could possibly understand. And furthermore, even if they did understand, I don't give a shit, because I'm gonna stay off to myself. I don't want anybody to know what's going on with me. I just need my drugs, my alcohol, and I'm good, right? And it's so interesting that when you get into recovery and you are walking hand in hand with the sunlight of the spirit, like the big book talks about, it's so interesting how it's all the opposite. I was just telling my sponsor this morning that living a life in recovery is the direct opposite to the way I lived in my active addiction. I mean, spirit is direct opposite from ego. The spirit thought system and the ego thought system are completely opposite. And I know that when I live at one with spirit every moment of the day, I stay on that beam. And it's like the world just opens up to me. You know, it's like the world just opens up to me. And, you know, I am going through a difficult time right now. Feeling alone, but I know I'm not alone today. I have people in the program that I can call. I have my higher power that I can talk to. That wasn't the case when I was numbed out, but sometimes I can't, you know, there's those fleeting thoughts, those ego-based thoughts that I feel alone, that you know, nobody understands. Well, shit. We all get sad. We all get depressed, you know? It happens. But I have tools that I have today that I can use, and I don't have to start down that relapse road. Like, I don't have to do that today, because I am very aware that if relapse happens, or when relapse unfortunately happens to people, it's always the pickup of the drink or the drug is the last thing to happen. That's the very last thing to happen. The first thing that happens is you wake up and you don't feel like yourself. I feel kind of sad, or I feel angry, or whatever spiritual malady, you know, whatever is, you know, the unmanageability from within, right? The bedevilments on page 52. A feeling of uselessness and self-pity. We don't, as people that have tools today in recovery, we don't have to pick up a drink or a drug, or we don't have to sit in that spiritual malady. I don't have to sit in that. Oh, hell no. I'm not going to either, because I know what'll happen. Because I don't want the oh my God, it was so sad and so painful. It was so sad and so painful the way I used to live, and I don't want that ever, ever, ever again. But I'm also not so naive to think that I don't have to take action. In each day that I wake up, I have to make a decision. I have to make a decision. Who am I going to serve? And throughout the day, which, you know, I think, y'all, one of my favorite big book promises is actually, I'm going to say step 5, because that's when it says most of us will find relief from the mental obsession, right? And then step 10, and we've ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol, for by this time sanity will have returned. And step 10 is a step that I can use throughout the day to keep myself in check. Oh, Deanna, you're feeling kind of weird. Oh, you're feeling sad. Why don't you call somebody? You're feeling depressed? Why don't you get out of yourself and, I don't know, go help somebody? Or if you don't have anybody you can help immediately, man, I've gone outside, you guys, and picked up cigarette butts or trash. Anything to get out of self. Anything. Just putting up somebody's shopping cart at the freaking supermarket makes me feel better. So I want you to know that you're not alone, and if you like this video, like and subscribe is what my friend said, right? Like and subscribe, because I'm going to make another one, because we're going to do this, and we're going to do it shoulder to shoulder.